Let's keep it in the NFL with the rest of the new free agents. From Tom Brady's big decision to Ryan Tannehill getting a Brinks truck, it was a pretty interesting few weeks. There's a couple guys left to go, with guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Cam Newton waiting to sign, but we know where about 85% of our guys are going to be. We just talked about quarterbacks, and we all know Brady would probably easily top most lists. So let's go ahead and throw quarterbacks out, guys. So all the other positions that were signed, which free agent quarterback or which free agent pickup that isn't a quarterback is going to help their team the most in 2020,
Drake? All right. So the first one I want to go with the cornerback position. I want to go with Byron Jones that's signing down with the Dolphins, and the reason being is I remember this time last year, and me and Jay was talking, and I remember the one thing he asked me, and I had to think about was he was like, if you had to come up with a storyline for the Dolphins, what would it be? Right, every team in the NFL had a storyline, but the Dolphins, and I was like, oh man, it got to be a storyline, right?
Cincinnati didn't have one either, by the way. They were the two where they were just blank.
I guess you could have did something around Andy Dalton and AJ Green. I don't know, but they didn't have a storyline at all. Now this year we're talking totally different. They beat the Patriots. Brian Flores seemed to have a good grip on the team. He got rid of some riffraff. He got some picks back, and now they could possibly go out and get Tua now and then bring him in the mix. And they spent some money this offseason. They got the two highest paid cornerbacks. And I think that's going to be a really big deal. I think they're going to be able to put the AFC East on notice now. Like, when you come and play Miami, don't just stare at Fitzpatrick and think, oh, yeah, it's the Dolphins. It's a pencil-in win. No, you're going to have to take them a little serious. And what I like was, hey, you went out and got the big fish at cornerback, because when you look at all the cornerback signings, Byron Jones was the biggest signing of them all. So, in the sense of contract signing, you got the big fish at cornerback. Now, your team has the two highest paid cornerbacks in the NFL. You better be able to lock some things down out there. So, as far as cornerbacks go, I'm going to go with Byron Jones. And then my second one was Jack Conklin going to Cleveland. Here's the deal. Cleveland had a whole lot of things go wrong for them last year. But one thing that got brought to my attention that I might have undersold was that offensive line. The offensive line was terrible. I mean, we could talk about Baker Mayfield and his subpar performance, but it's a little hard for anybody to throw the ball when you got a defensive lineman sitting in your chest every snap. And for the most part, he was running for his life. And they went out and they made, I don't even know how they got Jack Conklin from Tennessee, but they got him. Because I was sold that he was going to sign back with the Titans. That's why Derrick Henry got the franchise tag. Somehow, Cleveland walked right on out with the contract, chucked the deuces, and told them, holla at me, baby, right after they got Austin Hooper. So, listen, I think that is a significant signing for a team because I said this on a previous show. What Cleveland did this year in offseason that kind of makes me think they're going to take a step forward is they address real deal issues. They didn't go out and just sign a big name. They signed a name that they needed, i.e. they needed an upgrade at tight end. They went and got one. They needed an upgrade in the offensive line. They went and got one. They need some defense piece. They went and got them. They need an upgrade in coach. They got one. So what they did, the moves that they made, makes me believe that they won't be the paper bag over the head Browns much more longer. So those are my two guys, Byron Jones to the Dolphins and Jack Conklin to the Browns. That's what I got.
Yeah, real quick in regards to the coaching point and the upgrade there for Cleveland. They couldn't downgrade, that's for sure. So we'll just leave it there. We're not gonna bang on Freddie Kitchens too much today. But hey, I'm looking when I look at free agency, and we see this year to year. One of the things I'm looking at is the day one free agency. The first day of it is it's just a mad, crazy spending spree, and you see those are the signings where there's a lot of overpaying going on. I love the Byron Jones contract. I love the Byron Jones signing, but that's where that kind of falls in. Not that it's a bad signing, but that's probably a bit more than I like to pay.
They paid too much.
I think so.
Okay.
That's not to say he won't play well for him, but
Yeah.
when you look past the first day or the first couple days, that first huge wave, then you get more into the true value signings. And I'm looking at the New Orleans Saints right now, and I think the signing of Malcolm Jenkins on the back end of that secondary is a major deal. Not only with how he can play the position, but the intangibles and the leadership that he's going to bring. And we saw it for years with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, the past couple of years, this guy was the absolute glue keeping anything together out there. I mean, can we talk about how bad the Eagles secondary was the past couple of years? Can we I can't even fathom how unwatchable they would be without Malcolm Jenkins. So you got him coming back to New Orleans where he started his career at, and Sean Payton has been on a record saying one of the biggest mistakes he's made as coach of the Saints is letting Malcolm Jenkins walk 6 years ago. They've got him back now. They've rectified that mistake, and I think that's going to be a huge deal. He's also going to be able to mentor those young guys, Marcus Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, get them puppies organized, as Bill Raftery likes to say. You got Janoris Jenkins out there as well. Man, I'm really looking forward to watching that defense with Malcolm Jenkins back in New Orleans. And on the flip side, on the other side, another great value sign the Saints made is bringing in the veteran wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. Those two signings, I think, were absolutely huge. They didn't make a lot of flashy headlines, but I think they're going to be very impactful. And you talked about this last year, and you were pretty much on the money. The Saints, they did struggle throughout the season to stretch the field vertically. We know how great Michael Thomas is in the short intermediate game and over the middle. And I brought up the point of Jared Cook. Jared Cook throughout the season, he became more of a downfield target. But you really like to have somebody outside of numbers that can stretch the defense vertically. And even at the advanced age of 33, I think Emmanuel Sanders can still do that. Again, I bring it up once again, one of the plays in that Super Bowl, the final chance for the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo overthrew an open Emmanuel Sanders who had beat a double team on a post route. That happened. So I think he's still got a lot of juice left. I thought he looked great last season coming off an Achilles. Let's not forget this. He played a 17-game regular season. When he got traded from Denver, they hadn't had their bye week. He gets over to San Francisco. They'd already had their bye week. That's one of those things that people and he was talking about the contract that he signed in the negotiations because the Packers and a couple other teams were looking at him and trying to lowball him, and that was one of the things he brought up. I'm durable as they come, and I think he's absolutely right. So those two signs, I think they're a huge deal for New Orleans. I like the Jack Conklin sign, and your point about the Browns' offensive line being a mess is absolutely right. And that's going to help them tremendously. It's also going to help Nick Chubb. I mean, as great as Nick Chubb was last year, he should have even more room to operate now with a guy like Jack Conklin opening up holes on that right side. And last point about the Dolphins. As much as we like Byron Jones, I think the Jordan Howard signing is a big deal at running back. I really, really do. I think he's going to have a great impact for them.
Yeah, I kind of agree with y'all as far as the corners go. I think we look at Byron Jones. What I kind of like about it is it's a little more of a boom or bust signing. You're talking, there's a couple other corners that were much safer signings, but Byron Jones, that money, it's completely boom or bust. But the Dolphins are one of those teams that are in the position to do just that. Hey, we're going to go out and we're going to get the best dude. We're going to throw our dart at the number one player on the free agency list, and we're going to go get him, right? And that's a really good 1-2 combo with Xavier and Howard, and on a team that's just loaded up with talent now. And I like it too because think about the timing. The AFC East now, it's open. The Patriots look like they might tank the whole season. Who even knows? So for a team that has, hey, we understand the room, we understand what's going on, and we're gonna go get the best guys and try to get the ship turned around. I like it a lot. And the AFC East doesn't have a lot of receivers to worry about right now, anyways. So you're going to be able to just lock down some of your opponents you're going to see twice a year. Another one I kind of like is James Bradbury going to the Giants. That's kind of a little bit under the radar, but the Giants really need a cornerback depth. They had no one above the age of 24 on the roster, and he's going to bring stability. One of the things you want to do in free agency is you want to provide stability, and you want to plug holes before you get to the draft. In the draft, you just take the best player available. You don't have to worry about it instead of going out there with a shopping list. That's not what you want to do. You have DeAndre Baker you signed last year, and he's got a guy now that can mentor him, kind of show him how to go. And Bradbury's a stable guy. He's started I think all but one game he's played, and you're going to need them because you get Michael Thomas, Mike Evans, and Julio Jones being thrown to by Breeze, Brady, and Matt Ryan. So, yeah. And for value, I would actually say I'm going to be a little bit of a homer, but the Joe Schobert signing for Jacksonville was good, mostly because Miles Jack gets to go back to the position he actually plays. And if that defense is going to rebuild, they just got a little bit of a 2-for-1. You get a very good player in Schobert in the middle, and you get to kick Jack back to the outside, and it does fill a big hole. So there was a couple guys like that you sign, and you get a player that moves back that's filling another spot, and that's a very nice thing to get kind of that 2-for-1 special there. So, yeah, I like the corners though the most because that's a position you got to have, but you can also go solve in free agency without drafting the guy and going through the lumps of them learning, and it makes you a lot better, immediately.